Yeah, I know they have been theory crafting a lot lately. I know that EdXZ has been pretty instrumental in Oreo's recent playstyle. So we should be able to see, hopefully anyway, we'll see that translate to success, and we'll see that translate to Oreo qualifying over here.
Oh, yeah, well,
Hashtag full bias. It's our WTL match tonight. I get to be biased.
Yes, let's go. Hashtag full bias as we are getting into our first game of our first qualifying match.
That we are gonna be kicking it off on Data Hondarasi. We're in the top right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Sydney. He is, of course, going for a little bit of a proxy, representing Opus V. He is Piglet.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Data Under the Sea, we have the Australian Zerg player himself representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is Oreo. Getting proxy 2 racks. Oh my god.
Yeah, but will he scout it? I think he should see the SUV at least, and he will see at least one of these Raxes. Show us the response, Oreo.
Yeah, looking at his vision, he sees at least one. He actually sees both Raxes in total as they are being made. The boys are being pulled for, once again, two for each barracks. And this time, I believe the target firing is going to be a little bit more on point. This time, these Raxes are not going to finish. Or will they? Up!
They should not. A little bit of an unfortunate position here for Piglet, as I don't believe the worker RNG, like, there's no way these workers will be put in a position where they can just build without being attacked.
Piglet's gonna try.
One rack's already.
He's gonna try again. The SCV's on the way,
it's
puppy.
So close. It's so close to finishing.
Wow, so Piglet's so again, a couple of things. I know that Piglet has a lot of respect for Oreo. Like these are the two players that if you were able to tune into ANZ Champs, like they did have a couple of interviews and they were able to talk about each other, and they do respect each other a lot. These are supposed to be, like, in a way, the kind of the newer generation of Australian kind of pro players, and yeah, for Piglet to go for a proxy 2 racks here goes to show that even he isn't so confident going into a longer game against Oreo, wants to try and mix things up, and already things going a little bit dire here, a little bit south for Piglet.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where he has a lot of respect for Oreo, so he knows that he's not super confident going into more of a macro game, but at the same time, he was hoping that Oreo wouldn't scout a proxy.
Yeah, exactly. And Oreo just making 6 defensive lings here, 8 defensive lings actually in total. 10, sorry, just to make sure nothing gets out of control here. Just looking around, trying to see if there was another proxy racks, maybe a hidden proxy 3 racks or something. Oreo just playing this out safe.
Yeah, this is working out a little bit for Piglet in the sense that Oreo's third base is delayed. We know that in a normal scenario, Oreo would love to have a third hatchery by now, but he is somewhat contained. At the same time, back at home, Piglet is also only now going to be landing that second orbital commando. So, yeah, I guess it just kind of evens out.
Yeah, exactly. A later third base, but likewise a later CC here for Piglet. I do want to give the advantage here to Oreo in the end. But we'll see how things move on or continue from here, progress from here, as Piglet, I'm sure, has been in this position before, and he will be able to bounce back quite quickly, as Oreo doesn't want to give him the chance. He goes for a Roach War.
You'll love to see it, Oreo say, "You want to proxy me? You know who I am."
And
I've been talking to EdXZ lately. I figured out how to roach rush.
I know how to make roaches, puppy. Let's go. So a couple of things. There are a couple of Reapers available here to Piglet. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get a full scout off. He did scout and confirm that there is a third hatchery at least, but the Reapers are still at home, and link speed just finished up. So even if they do move out across the map, the likelihood of them scouting the Roach Warren is pretty low. Piglet has to rely on his Overlord, his barracks essentially, to try and spot them move out across the map. And mate, the Overlord, the Rax is on fire. Oh, sorry, too soon though. Oh no, never mind.
Okay, the SCV will be repairing it. This one Rags. It's had one hell of a story. I mean, almost not be, to almost not being built to being burnt down in the middle of the map while in the air. That's yeah. I guess this means that Piglet is going to be a lot more committed to mech, as we see a second factory being thrown down before a starport.
Yeah, but here we go. The roaches are moving out across town. We have a link flood behind this. Piglet was able to keep this Rex alive. Unfortunately, it's out of the way. It will eventually dip in and confirm no no drones at all here at the third. But by that point, it may just be too late.
Is it though? Because we do have 2 tanks set up already.
Yeah, but the wall's not a wall. There's nothing to protect the tanks.
A wall, yeah. Neither in the natural nor in the main. The Lynx slip on in, and it will take out the high ground tank. GG immediately called. Oreo takes game number 1 and saves us from a 40-minute mech game.
GG, well played Oreo with a very crisp timing there with his roaches, and again, just in a way abusing the fact that Piglet had no real way, no secure way to scout what was coming. Oh.
Not at all. Let's hope this trend continues for the rest of this best of 5. We have 5 games of just counterattacks.
Look, I just want to say, look, I'm the Zerg player, and even I'm not the one. I'm not the one complaining about mech. Okay, I'm absolving myself of this.
I have been accused of only hating mech because I haven't figured out how to play it. Those accusations are correct.
Shaking my head. Speaking of enjoying mech, I want to quickly exclamation mark Funada NXZ in the chat as he starts chanting in favor of it. Shaking my head. Says, we love mech. Yes, we do. We love mech. How about you? God damn it, Ryan. Shaking my head.
Ryan, what are you sewing up today, eh?
God damn it, Ryan. Oh god. Match point, puppy. Match point. We'll do a tribute to Ryan.
Yeah, what else? Match point. This is the best of 5.
Exactly.
Oh wait. Yeah.
You get what I'm throwing down.
Yeah. As we load into game number 2 now on Moondance. We're in the top left-hand corner map, swatting all the way to the top left-hand corner. We, of course, have our blue Terran player coming out from the land of Sydney. He has been known to go mech a lot of times, but in the last game, he did switch things up quite a bit. I'm hopeful about how that shapes up in the rest of the series. He is, of course, going to be representing Opus V. He is Piglet.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Moondance, we have the Australian Zerg player himself representing the CranKy Ducklings, currently up 1-0 in this best of 5 qualifying match. It is Oreo.
This time, allowed to play a little bit more standard. Both players are playing a lot more standard.
Oh. Yeah. Both players this time no proxies on the map. We have a hatch gas pool from Oreo. Piglet likewise, his racks is at home.
What? Yeah. Yeah. Like how that shapes out. Reaper Expand, of course, coming out from Piglet. As things are standard.
Yeah, so Moondance is going to be an interesting one. We were talking about it in Oreo versus Seether, where because of the map itself, Seether was able to establish himself on 3 bases and even 4 bases relatively quickly and relatively easily. The issues started coming in when Seether was attempting to and failing to expand and take his 5th base, if you recall. Oreo just relentless at just sending wave after wave of units over here. But if we're talking about mech, then, you know, slowly expanding and slowly, like, just taking these bases one after the other, I feel like it's going to be harder for Oreo to accomplish that same style that he was able to pull off against Seether.
Yeah, it really takes a little while longer to get mech going, and we saw a lot of the successes that Seether did have on Moondance would tied a lot to his bio play, would tied a lot to the Marine Marauder, multi-prong drops that he was going for, as well as the Maskell Scout that he had. Piglet may want to take a page off of Caesar's book, but like you said, if he just wants to play out a very defensive mech game, I don't think that's going to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how things unfold in the end. Already, we do see the first Reaper of Piglet getting a little bit of damage. He did get one drone kill at the natural, so already just exceeding expectations here, able to slip on behind the mineral line, and this is a very important scout. He wants to make sure that he's not getting roach all in.
Yeah, not again.
Not again, puppy. Meanwhile, across the map, Piglet also not going for an economic opener. Didn't go for a third CC before Starport. Actually went for a straight up 1-1-1.
Oh, no fusion cores or anything this time.
Oof.
Finally, the Reaper will go down, but not before he gets a very good scout off. Oreo's entire game plan, essentially. He scouted the triangle third base, he scouted everything.
Yeah, you know, Piglet, that Reaper did give its life up for a worthy cause, but did it really? Because we do have a follow-up hidden Roach Warren behind the mineral line at the natural. So Oreo was being very patient, waiting for that Reaper to go down. Now we do have a couple of Hellions, but the likelihood of them diving in is pretty low.
Yeah, it is only 2 Hellions. They shouldn't be able to get too much done. I mean, they've killed 1 drone, and that's already exceeded my expectations.
Oof. Wow, and a 4-link run by Oreo gets both mules. One of them was about to run out, sure, but like a very nice pickoff as well, just forcing Piglet's attention at home. His following 2 Hellions are stuck here as well, and Oreo is going for that roach timing. Unfortunately for Oreo, he is not quite, or he wasn't really anticipating Banshees, as the first Banshee is already out.
Yeah, this isn't really something that Terran players do normally, unless they've been able to scout that a Roach Warren was out. Oreo, since he did deny that Reaper information on these roaches, definitely wasn't expecting Banshees at all. I'm pretty sure that was the last thing on his mind.
Ooh.
Piglet will now scout the roaches coming at his way, and the Banshees should be recalled. This should be enough for Piglet to defend, and he shouldn't take too much damage.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully Piglet was able to catch wind of this in the middle of the map. Otherwise, it would have been worst case scenario. Otherwise, the game may just have ended. With the help of these Banshees, Piglet will also be able to eventually clean all this up. I'm sure Oreo was hoping for a third CC before Starport. He was hoping for a more greedy opener from Piglet.
Yeah, even I was kind of expecting Oreo to be droning up quite a bit, not being too committed to this Roach push, but here we are. He needs to deal some kind of damage in order to cut his losses. He is able to slip in with his Lings, and there's a ton of SCVs that will be going down. Bunker, unfortunately, does not have enough Marines to keep this up. Oreo's doing a lot of damage, but if we look at the worker count, it's surprisingly even still.
I want to give a lot of praise there to Oreo because he was being so patient. I don't know if you noticed, but keeping the Lings in the back line, he wanted to make sure he could bust on through with his Roach Ravager first. He didn't want the Lings to be roasted by those Hellions. There was some very nice counter SCV micro from Piglet as well. It was insane, the defense that was happening here. But it was not good enough. Oreo still dealt the damage that he needed to get ahead in that worker count to make that Roach commitment worth it.
Yeah, thankfully Oreo behind all of this was droning up as well. So we see him really shoot ahead when it comes to the worker count. You were talking about 3 Banshees can still do a lot to equalize the workers, but there's already detection here in the form of these spores. There are already queens here in the form of anti-air. No, there's already anti-air here in the form of these queens.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? 3 Banshees, they don't give a damn. They do kill 1 high energy queen. They take down 4 drones as well, and they can pick up a couple more. Oreo has to give a lot of respect to this, and he has to be very careful with how drones and units are transferring between these bases. Doesn't want to lose anything else here for free to these Banshees.
Ooh. Yeah, he doesn't want to send all of his queens to the Banshees right now, because the Banshees just switch gears and go to a different base. His queens are going to be completely out of position, man.
Yeah, and that was a nice counter damage here. 7 drones went down, and Piglet saved every single one of his Banshees. They can go back home, they can get repaired, and they can come out once again. Meanwhile, Piglet doing something very unexpected, and Oreo hasn't scouted this by... Oh no, he did scout this. Bio, puppy.
Yo. Piglet really insane. But you were talking about it, you know, Piglet does have to play a more active style on a map like Moondance. He can't just rely on staying back home on 4 bases or anything like that. So yeah, I'm liking this a lot from Piglet.
Yeah, and again, I do also want to emphasize that I do believe that Piglet is doing this because he knows that if he's a little bit too predictable, then Oreo will catch him, will like abuse that and will take advantage of that as well. Again, really respecting his opponent, doing something out of left field, going for this bit of a Marine push before 1-1, by the way, but catching Oreo very off guard.
Yeah, Oreo doesn't even have the bailiness done right now. He was focusing so much on his roaches, not just to get the timing earlier on, but because I'm sure he was also anticipating mech play coming out from Piglet.
Yeah, exactly. Bailiness is not done. The Marines, they stim on forward. Everything's going to go down. GG gets called, and Piglet fights back, tying up the series 1-1.
We got a series on our hands.
Oh, we really do. Again, even though Oreo did so much damage with this bush, and even though he scouted the Raxes, that responsive Bailiness was very, very late. As you pointed out, Oreo, I'm sure, just wasn't really expecting a bio push at all.
Not at all, yeah. Scouted those Raxes a little bit too late, unfortunately, and because of that, we will be tied up.
Yes, we are. We are going to be going into game number 3 here. This series hasn't gone the way that we thought it would at all. So will we ever see Piglet get into his mech style at all this series?
Not.
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see. It's definitely a possibility for him. As we do have a quick update here on the Indie lower bracket, Azure has taken out Runabout 2-1. And so he will be waiting for the loser of Probe versus Pez, if I have that correctly. No, I think he's actually waiting for the loser of this series.
Oh, interesting, interesting. So yeah, maybe another Terran player waiting for that series. We'll see once we get there. Exclamation mark me in the chat if you want to have a look at the bracket yourselves and kind of piece it all together with where players will fall once they move towards that lower bracket. But we are still here in the upper bracket. We're still here getting into game 3.
Yeah, this time it will be on Cosmic Sapphire once again. Lends itself well to defensive styles, but we'll see how it goes as we continue our best of 5 qualifying match here on Cosmic Sapphire. We're in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have our Red Cirque player coming down from the land of Brisbane. He is, of course, the king of Brisbane. He's going to be representing our very own clan, our very own team, the CranKy Ducklings. He is Oreo.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Cosmic Sapphire, we have the Australian Terran player himself representing Opus V, the back-to-back ANZ champ. It is Piglet.
So, 2-port BC this time?
This wouldn't be a bad map to do it on, not gonna lie, but yeah, like this is a matchup that you love to see, you know. Oreo, best Zerg player in Australia. Piglet, I do think that he has solidified himself as the best Terran player in Australia as well. There was a period this year where people were even confirming and admitting that Piglet may even be the best player period in Australia, especially after his ANZ champ runs. But again, that was a couple of months ago.
I mean, if 2 back-to-back ANZ championships don't secure a place as the best player in the region, then I'm not sure what will.
Yeah. Exactly. He even went to Valencia as well, if you recall. Yeah. But I do think that after Valencia, Piglet, like many players, took a break. There was kind of an extended period between Valencia and Atlanta where, you know, there wasn't really much to compete or play in. So yeah, Piglet is now returning to game, and oh my god, he's opening up with the 2 racks.
Yo, I like it. We don't see mech yet.
Yeah, hey, the more Raxes we see, that means it's going to be less factories. Let's go.
Yeah, at least for now.
At least for now. So this is going to be a very fast second Rax here. This could either go into a 2-on-1 or into a 3 Rax build here. Regardless, we're going to have a lot of Marines real quick to work with.
Yeah, we should be seeing a 2-on-1. Yep, there's that factory being thrown down. 3 racks would be absolutely insane on Cosmic Sapphire. This is a map with the longest rush distance.
Oh god, exactly, and it looks like we do have the Reaper coming out across the map as well. You know, on this, obviously we were focusing on Piglet and kind of his shenanigans that he's trying to pull off on his side of the map. Likewise, Oreo has continued to go for these Roach-based builds, and it's on Piglet to try and get eyes on that as soon as possible if we do see a Roach warning.
That's why it's so important to keep this Reaper alive for the time being. I don't think Oreo... I mean, you should know by now, you know, you can't just rely on Roach builds to try to take quick games off of Piglet. I know that's where a lot of the success lay with NXZ when he did face Piglet in the DreamHack qualifiers, but you gotta have a little bit more than that.
Exactly. Also, Yaku, I'd like to direct your attention to the chat. Jadolf has noticed something. He noticed you, Poppy. He noticed you.
Feels amazing, man.
It took a couple of shows, but yes, Yaku is rocking some of his own personal arts behind him. It is true. It's true.
Yeah. I was inspired by the background of light. Unfortunately, it was copyrighted, so I had to get around that.
I mean, really, World Team League were inspired by you, obviously.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, I got Artanis to my right, your left. You can tell that's Artanis because, you know, he's skinny. Behind me, I've got Kerrigan. You can tell it's Kerrigan because of the dreadlocks. And then I got Raider over there. You can tell it's Raider because he's thick.
Because he's got a gun.
Yeah.
There you go. Shaking my head. Meanwhile, we have an important scout coming in from Oreo. He dips in with his Overlord. He confirms the reactor on the rack, so he knows that once again we're going to have some bio play. Something that I'm sure Oreo is more comfortable with, but maybe not anticipating. He does at least have a safety Baneliness on the way this time.
Yeah, he will be able to morph these. He will be able to morph these links into Banelings very, very shortly, but for the time being, he's just going to prioritize getting a whole lot of links. And ideally just being on top of these medevacs as they put units.
Yeah, I mean, the double drop was scouted as it came across the map. Oreo is trying to get in position here as he has scatterlings all over the map just to make sure he confirms any other move out or even a third base. Speaking of, 2 more Raxes are thrown down instead, and we only have 1 NG Bay to work with right now. We saw a variant of this earlier today by Seether. Sorry, Renema.
Yeah, I was crushing myself for a sec, but yeah, that pseudo all-in style is coming into play, and Oreo, of course, was able to shut it down with some very, very patient play on Data C. He was getting a ton of lings and a ton of banelings, trying to go for counterattacks and just trying to make sure that he was able to get a full surround on Runamuk's army. It's a little bit harder to pull off on Cosmic Sapphire, I think, but it's still entirely possible.
Yeah, exactly. And Oreo, he goes in as well with a full scout into the main base just to confirm that 2 more Raxes are thrown down. He also confirms that there still is no third, so he knows about the 2 base all in. A bit of a +1 timing here from Piglet. Another Rax gets thrown down as well. So Oreo, he's now done droning. Is it going to be enough though? 1-1 and 1-1 and a bailing speed. They only just now started.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive window of opportunity here for Piglet. He doesn't have any tanks at the moment, but do you really need tanks when your opponent doesn't have banelings?
Yeah, that's a question as, oh, the queens are off of creep, so they won't be able to transfuse each other. One of the queens, though, is saved by the Reaper.
Yeah! 88 charge, just sending that queen all the way to the back lines. That was useful. That was, yeah, kind of helpful. Thanks, Reapers.
Yeah, that Reaper is looking a little bit sus if I was a Terran player, not gonna lie. Meanwhile, there we go. Third TC is finally thrown down for Piglet very late. Bear that in mind, and we have a lot of Marines to work with as a result. But if Piglet doesn't deal any damage soon, then Oreo is gonna get away with already being on 4 bases, I imagine, soon having a 5th, and again, not sustaining any economic losses at all.
Yeah, 1-1, and Baneling Speed is about to finish up for Oreo as well, so I fear that window of opportunity for Piglet has just about passed. There are still no tanks and links with this army.
I mean, he's gonna try and force the issue anyway. We do see his massive army pushing out across the map. He is slightly behind in the army supply, but has so many Marines to work with. Is there enough Link Bane though, and how good are these splits going to be?
Well, we'll see. It's a little bit difficult to pull off splits on creep, so I do appreciate that Piglet has retreated to the high ground off of creep as well. There's only one tank of this army, but if Oreo isn't careful, he could lose his entire Ling buffer to Marines before, anything connects.
He really could. At the same time, Oreo goes for a Ling run by. There is no third CC though, but there are a couple of reinforcements that can be caught out. The wall is not a wall either. Oh, but Piglet was paying attention. He does have a hot pickup. Up!
Banelings will crash in anyway. The eBay looking a little exposed here, but that is the signal for Piglet to just go with the rest of his army. There's still only a single tank over here, but Oreo still needs to be very, very careful because there's no way for him to surround. It's just a single front, and that's a lot of Marines.
There's a lot of Marines, but Piglet is pushing ever closer. That means that the tank is becoming that much more exposed. Meanwhile, another Ling run by across the map. Oreo just making sure that Piglet has no room to breathe, has no reinforcements. This army across the map isn't getting any larger. Meanwhile, Oreo's is.
Yeah, and again, one tank is going to have a lot to do. The Banelings will crash into most of these Marines. There's a hot pickup here for Piglet, and he will be diving into the natural base, but I don't think these medevacs will be able to unload anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. There's just too much Ling Bane here to cover for this. We do have the Hydra on the way and 2-2, so Oreo just transitioning into Ling Bane Hydra. He's already fully saturated on his 4 bases, or he's been content to stay on 64 workers. There's no reason to go any higher than 66, especially because, like, this natural base finally lands Piglet on 1.5 base, or 1 base saturation, essentially.
At this point, you might as well pull the boys.
There's no boys left to pull, puppy. There's nothing left. Piglet, he's trying to do whatever he can here, but again, the scouting from Oreo was insane this game. He was doing such a good job at just keeping an eye on whether or not there was another base, on how many Raxes there were, how committed this was, and Oreo was so meticulous with how much he droned.
GG is called. Oreo died once to not scouting, and it won't happen again for the rest of the series. GG. He finds himself now on match point. These have been some surprisingly quick games.
I mean, they've been some surprisingly mech-free games.
Yeah.
GG. Very well played there by Oreo. Again, very nice scouting, very nice responses, setup, creep spread, engagements, just decision-making. It was all exactly what he needed it to be. But now Piglet, he may be forced into a corner. He may be forced to do what he does best.
Yeah. Maybe forced to. I was trying to think of like a joke, but I couldn't really come up with anything. He's forced to 2-port BC, but we actually haven't seen him do 2-port BC yet throughout this entire tournament. So,
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think Piglet is aware of 2-port BC. Not gonna lie. I don't know if he was watching Gumiho when that happened. That may have been during his period of hiatus. But mech, do we even want to, like, now that we're in this position? Yeah, like, do we want mech on Waterfall? I don't think that's the best idea.
Or maybe, because Waterfall is Terran favored anyway, he may as well just do what he does best and yeah, hope for it. But then again, the reason why Waterfall is so Terran favored is because it's really good for Marine tank pushes. It's not exactly a very defensible mech. It's not exactly a very defensible map, at least compared to something like Data C or Tropical Sacrifice. And yeah, it's, even if you played a more active mech style, it's going to be difficult to pull off.
Yeah, I just like, based off of how this series has played out, I just want to give Chappie a hug. Like, yeah. he's gonna watch the VODs, or he's watching live right now. He's like, why the hell didn't Piglet play like this against me? He's like, why did I have to get stuck with all the mech games? It
all happened for a reason, Chappie. It's because you had to face Asher.
I expected one of us in the Rumble. Had to be you.
Anyway, we're going to be continuing our series now on match point here A player in the top right-hand corner of the map here, the map being waterfall, is now a match point. He is a red Zerg player. He's coming down from the buildings. He's coming down from the Billabong to represent our very own team, the CranKy Ducklings. Yes, right. He's gonna make his opponent say, "Oh, he is Oreo."
Head income, mate.
What? Hey! Don't hear in the bottom left-hand corner of the map coming out in the bottom left-hand corner. A blue Terran player coming out for the lane. A Sydney Arbor gonna be representing Opus V. He is coming out for Dinkum itself. He is Piglet.
That's right.
Yep. Yes, boy.
Oh god. Just for you, Ryan. Just for you, Ryan. As we are on match point, Oreo has one more game to win here to qualify for PAX Arena StarCraft 2 Championship Australia 2022.
PAX Super South, as I like to call it.
Super South. Why are you calling it that? You said that before.
Because we have PAX South that takes place in Texas, Tejas,
Oh,
you know?
See.
And this is even more south.
True.
I think there's a PAX South America though.
Is there?
And that might I think there's a PAX Brazil, but there hasn't been one in a long time.
Well, then this would be Super South, right?
This would be yeah.
There you go.
Wait, hold up. And there's is there PAX South Africa? Because I know there's something that happens in South Africa.
Things do happen in South Africa. There are people there. Yes, I can confirm.
Yeah.
We can confirm. We have a duckling on the scene right now. Let's get Phoenix on the line. Phoenix tears. Oh my god. Yes. Regardless, it is going to be at PAX Australia.
Why is Tejas the one that's south?
Come on, they screwed themselves, okay? Because they called it south before there was anything like more southern than Tejas.
True.
At the time, you know,
Actually,
the places just hadn't been discovered.
Yeah, it's just a legacy thing, I guess.
Exactly. Regardless, we are here, and Oreo is one game away from making it through. Back at home, Piglet, we saw a hatch gas pool opener from Oreo. Everything's looking pretty standard. Piglet did open up with a Reaper Expand, as we would expect, just to get that scouting information going on, especially because we're on Waterfall. We were talking about it earlier, and it did happen against Seether. We don't want to be seeing any kind of roach push, and Piglet is taking the risk. He is going for it. You're waiting for it, Yaku. Fusion Core.
One port BC, let's go! Look, it's not too late to throw down the second starport, but yeah, for now, I doubt he's gonna go into port.
Yeah, but already Piglet doing a decent amount of damage here. Picking off a queen this early on, especially when you're going BC, is insane. But Oreo, as soon as he deflected the push, he knows what he wants, and this man, he wants roaches.
Oh, yeah. You know, at least Piglet will have a Banshee to defend against the roach pushes, but, I mean...
Canceled.
We talk about it all the time. He canceled, and now he's going into his BC. He's supply... No!
He's supply blocked.
He clearly
he canceled the Banshee. He only has Hellions and a Reaper to defend. This is worst case scenario. Again, Piglet, because of his Hellion Scout and because of his Reaper Scout, he assumed, okay, I'm safe and sound. There is no roach push. He cancels the Banshee, making that judgment call, and that may be a call that costs him his life.
At this point, my Duckling bias isn't enough to really like feel for Piglet over here. Everything that could go wrong just went wrong for him. And it's not impossible that he defends. You know, his BC is about halfway done. He can still wall off, but it's gonna be difficult.
Things are gonna get wild, especially... Okay, we only have 5 queens to defend, by the way. So this BC is gonna finish up soon, and if it teleports across the map immediately, that means, 1, it won't be at home to defend, so Piglet will lose a lot here on the low ground. Here we go, finally he recognizes what's happening. But if he did teleport across the map, there's honestly not that many queens to defend either, so it would be like a really weird situation. But in the end, the BC will stay at home.
It would be a base race, and a base race that I'm not convinced Oreo would be able to win. Instead, the BC is kept back home, as it should be.
Yeah,
I love the target firing out from Piglet as well.
Yeah, the Ravagers are all going to go down. The Roach is going to go down as well. The wall is a wall. The Lings, no, they try to bust through, but they get absolutely barbecued here. And just like that, Piglet has defended, and Oreo, because he lost all those Lings, he doesn't even have enough for a defense at home.
Yeah, we were worried about Piglet maybe making a wrong judgment call, but that was really an odd decision by Oreo to try and bust his way through with all those Lings.
Yeah.
There are a couple more queens out, though, at the very least.
It was a bit of a desperation move, let's be honest. And now the Hellbats are coming in. The Roaches have not been replaced. Oreo was not ready here. He was not anticipating an army. Oh, God! The drones, they get roasted as well.
Yeah. Everything that could have gone wrong for Piglet at the start did go wrong, but everything that could go wrong for Oreo in the counterattack did go wrong as well. GG! We're going into our ace match here, and it hasn't even been half an hour yet. That's astounding to me for a Piglet versus Oreo match.
Yeah, GG, well played. So there were a couple of things that kind of came into play, and probably the biggest one actually is the fact that that Roach Warren from Oreo was delayed because he was waiting to make sure that the Hellions and the Reaper wouldn't be able to scout it, right? So intentionally he wasn't throwing it down. Because of that, it did delay the Roach push overall, and it meant that even though we saw a BC coming out, it did come out in time. And then we saw like a questionable decision there by Oreo to try and force the issue there and throw away his army, and because of that, like he had nothing left to defend. He had 5 queens.
Not at all, yeah. He had 5 queens, and they could deal with the BC pretty decently well. The same could not be said for the Hellbats, though.
Oh, exactly, and now we're going all the way to game number 5, the ace match between Piglet and Oreo. The Zergs and the Terrans of Australia are watching, and the ace match, it's going to be on a big map, a defensive map, Tropical Sacrifice.
Ooh. Time to strap ourselves in.
Oh boy. Are we finally going to get it, Yaku? Are we going to get the mech that you always wanted?
Okay. We may get mech. I don't know if it's going to be the mech that I always wanted, though.
You want 2-port BC.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
I don't want mech. I want Sky Terran. We're just technically, you know, a subdivision of mech. Except you don't get too many factories, so that's the mech I want. But speaking of what we want, we can't always get what you want. But you know what? If you try sometimes you find yourself saying hello to my little friend here on Tropical Sacred for Scarface coming out over here in the top right hand corner of the map, spotting all the way to the top right hand corner. We have a red Terran player coming out, a red Zerg player coming out from the Billabong known as Brisbane. He is having himself a better golden gay time here. He is going to be representing our very own team, the CranKy Ducklings. Yes, right, he is Oreo. It's funny here in the bottom left hand corner of the map, swinging all the way in the bottom left hand corner of the board. He is coming out from the other side of Dinkum, representing Opus via blue. Terran player down from the side of Sydney Harbour. Yeah, mate, that's where we get our Macca's and whatnot. He is Piglet. That's right.
That's right. Mate, my throat hurts listening to you. Oh my god. Drink some water, Papi.
Surprisingly, I don't need a lozenge this time.
Let's go. You're getting used to it.
You need water.
Oh
yeah,
god.
Royan, you know?
Yeah.
He's been in the country long enough.
Yeah, he has been
rubbing off on me.
He's been rubbing all over you. As we are getting into our ace match, and so far pretty standard openers from both of our players. Oreo just making sure he doesn't get proxied, not again, as we have had a little bit of cheesy play from Piglet already this series. Oh boy, but yeah, now that we're on Tropical Sacrifice, we should be seeing some more straight up play here. We have seen Oreo try time and time again, go for some roach timing attacks. We've seen it succeed, we've seen it fail, but I do think specifically on Tropical Sacrifice, this is not a map you want to do it on, because even if it goes unscattered, even if you go across the map, like with so many ramps, with the rush distance, with the side blockers, like it's just, it barely ever works.
Yeah, if you try to go for a roach rush and Tropical Sacrifice, you find yourself face first into a line of tanks more often than not.
Yeah, it can be really difficult to pull off here, and Piglets is gonna flex his micro a little bit. He did pick off one of the drones in the main base already. He wants another, by the way, as he dips on in, and Oreo's gonna try and pull back. Up! Queen, please!
The drones live. For now.
But he wants to make... They do live for now. Once again, Piglet doesn't go for a third CC before starport.
Yeah, you know what this means, like.
There's no tech lab.
There is no tech lab.
Are we getting
you
a
know
fusion
what
core?
that means?
Are we getting... We are getting the fusion core.
Yeah, boy. Interesting placement on that fusion core, by the way.
Yeah.
Looks like he wants it to get seen.
Well, I mean, the Overlord scouting from the bottom right, I don't think it's going to be able to see the fusion core specifically. So, yeah, depending on the angle of the scout, Oreo may be having a hard time actually figuring out what the tech is for Piglet.
And he's going to need to figure it out very shortly. I mean, you were even mentioning in the last game, Oreo only had 5 queens, that's because he was certain that the roach rush will succeed. Typically, you know, if a Zerg player doesn't scout any starport aggression coming their way, they will limit the amount of queens that they produce. The Ling did slip in, and it will confirm the fusion core.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know how one Ling managed to get into the main base and saw everything. Saw the fusion core, saw the starport. We already have spores that are going to be on the way here. I thought I saw some in production. There we go. There's a spore at the triangular third. We should be seeing another wave of queens as long as Oreo has seen what he scouted.
Yeah, here's hoping anyway. One queen will get roasted by the Hellions. You don't see that too often, and really goes to show how much control Piglet really has over his units.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned here. I mean, we have 4 queens. We're about to have 6 queens here to defend for Oreo, which is not really the queen count that we want. We want a little bit more than this. He did delay his queen production a little bit just to bump out more drones. So he has to be very careful, not just dealing with the BC, but also making sure that he has enough Lings on the ground to keep up with any kind of Hellion run by.
Yeah, making a couple of Banelings now, you know, just in case Piglet transforms those Hellions into Hellbats. But other than that, I do agree with your assessment, like, Lings and Queens is what you want to prioritize right now if you're Oreo.
Yeah, here we go. We have a follow-up scout just to confirm that the BC did finish up. It is now teleporting across the map. Hellions are also headed towards that third base as well. So it's going to be all about whether or not Oreo can split up his army. These Banelings will also help against a dive. Like, if Piglet isn't looking and if he tries to force himself up this ramp, he will run face first into Banelings.
Yeah, Oreo gonna want to keep them hidden a little bit for now.
I mean, the VC does slip in towards the third. 2 drones go down immediately. Meanwhile, we have 4 queens waiting in the main base as well. So Oreo, I love his unit positioning so far for the time being, but Piglet is trying to find a weak point here. He's trying to slip on by.
And it's a bit of a weak point here for Oreo. 6 drones go down to the Hellions, and the VC is able to slip into the main. Where are the queens?
Yeah, it looks like the queens were actually dragged south a little bit there because of the Hellion run by. They were a little bit out of position, and 9 drones go down in total without a single Hellion or BC going down. Very nice harass here by Piglet.
Meanwhile, we see on the other side of the map here from Piglet, he is transitioning to his mid game, and he is going for mech.
Yeah, it took 5 games to get here, but we are finally here in the game that Piglet is most comfortable in. On Tropical Sacrifice specifically, I do think that this favors this style, so if there's ever a map to go mech on, it is this.
It is playing bit of a more active style though, which I definitely appreciate. He is doing a lot with his Hellions, getting Blue Flame pretty soon, and yeah, Piglet is
Oh,
continuing to pump out more and more BCs. That was a kill, not a cancel in the 4th base.
yeah, honestly, Oreo's falling apart a little bit here. Like, we can see that he lost a lot of workers earlier, and he continues to lose more and more drones to these BCs. The kill on the 4th was a massive mistake as well. And Oreo, we'll see if he attempts to take another base. We'll see if he's going to be forced all in here. He does have a couple of Corruptors on the way, but I don't really think he has much pushing power, not against defensive tanks.
Yeah, I think the game's gonna slow down at this point.
Yeah, it
Strap
has.
yourself in.
It has to right now, and Oreo is going to be getting into this mid-game behind. So because of that, he's not going to have too much momentum to really flex his army and flex his map control too much. The ball's going to be a little bit more in Piglet's court.
Yeah, we'll see how he decides to dunk it. Oreo's still trying to go for a push though.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this really. And yeah, he pokes and prods. He confirms, you have tanks. Let me back off. Oh, not a lot of anti-air, so he does chip away at the BCs, but the Mistars finish up just in time. The BCs are safe.
Yeah, even if Oreo wanted to dive on top of those BCs, he knows that there are a ton of SCVs for repair. So he's just going to be, yeah, just trying to contain Piglet on 3 bases as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have any real way to threaten the 3rd itself, but, you know, poking, prodding, and being as annoying as possible to slow down that 4th is the best that Oreo can really hope for at this stage of the game. He's double expanding right now because we saw a kill earlier. He has to catch up. We see more drones. We see our upgrades. We are delaying, or we actually don't have a second Evo right now, which I think is correct when it comes to our tech choice. Oreo has to get into Hive sooner rather than later. He can't afford to invest into a Baneling Nest and Baneling Speed and +1 melee as well, as he is working on that, but prioritizing that infestation bit.
Yeah, he wants to get Vipers as soon as he can, you know, he wants to get into the Hive tech as quick as can be. Maybe get to Lunkers, but if you don't see a Hydra Den by now, I don't think we're ever going to see a Lurker Den.
Yeah, I don't think Lunkers are exactly what we want against Mech, not at this stage of the game. There's that Hive already on the way, as you were saying. You know, clearly Oreo just wanting to prioritize that to get those Vipers out, or maybe even Infestors, depending on what he wants to work with. Piglet being very aggressive here with his Hellions is going to lose a couple of them, but not before clearing out a lot of creep in the middle of the map.
And that's super important, especially when you're playing more mech style. You're not going to be as active with your pushes, so you have to do whatever you can to prevent your Zerg opponent from just creeping into your side of the map, especially somebody like Oreo, who is so diligent with spreading out his tumors.
Yeah, exactly. But like, because he was losing queens earlier, the creep is not there, the anti-air is not here, the queens are out of position, trying to spread with whatever they can. Corruptors are going to force this back, but again, like, this is economic damage that Oreo can't necessarily sustain right now. He is maxed, don't get me wrong, but not with the most ideal army, not with the most ideal upgrades. He still needs more time.
Yeah, thankfully for Oreo though, time is exactly what Piglet is willing to trade him for. Still building up his own mech army back home. Piglet is now maxed out, but yeah, it's still going to be a while before he gets all his upgrades, before he's really secure back home and feels as though he's safe to push out.
Yeah, I really worry when the move out does happen though, because Oreo honestly doesn't have amazing creep spread right now. He has his bases connected, but he's not even at the halfway point, and that means when Piglet does decide to move out, there's not going to be a lot that slows him down. Like, that's the goal here of creep, is that whenever you step onto creep, you have to slowly siege up, you have to scan, you have to clear out whatever you can, and then as all that's happening, Oreo's going to be just shelling away at you with Ravager Biles. Unfortunately, that's not really going to happen here, as Piglet is already more than halfway across the map, and Oreo is going to have to try and come in from a different angle.
Yeah, this bridge is a little bit of a choke point. There is a potential to surround all of the tanks, but I feel like we've reached critical mass here if you're Piglet. You know, the tanks act as your own buffer at this point.
They really do. Meanwhile, the Hellbats are pushing on through towards the northern side as well. Every single queen is going to go down. Oreo knows that this base is forfeit. He has to evacuate. He has to abandon this. He does thankfully have another base that he can transfer all those workers to, but yeah, this hatchery is forfeit.
Spy crawlers are picking off a couple of units still.
Yeah, the Spy Crawler is doing whatever they can. At the same time, Oreo's coming in from behind with his reinforcements, trying to catch some of these unsieged tanks, and he will get 2 or 3, 4 even.
He even catches the tanks that were fully sieged. The Thors now go down. The Corruptives are wreaking havoc on the BCs. And just like that, Piglet has lost his army in the middle of the map.
Wow, that was the most ideal scenario there for Oreo. Basically, every tank was on siege bar like 2. And Oreo, he knows he has momentum right now. He's going immediately for a counterattack.
Immediately gonna caustic spray down a couple of these buildings, but he is forced back once he meets the reinforcements of Piglet. Once again, this is really the big advantage of Tropical Sacrifice. It has a ton of site blockers, a ton of ramps, and a ton of choke points like Data C, but unlike Data C, it also has a much longer rush distance, so you have a little bit more time to get your defenses in order.
Yeah, the thing is that Oreo cannot let this opportunity slip him by. Again, Oreo has a massive supply lead right now. He has to try and find some use for it. Would you see Oreo rotating towards the southern side instead, gonna try and deny a base? This is nice, but I'm sure he would have liked to do a little bit more.
Unfortunately for him, more is not on the table right now.
Yeah, exactly. Despite the army supply lead, the defensive position is just too good on Tropical Sacrifice. He knows that he cannot push up any one of these ramps here without just taking really inefficient fights. You could argue that attacking the northernmost base would probably have been the best call, but now it's a little bit too late because we have more than one planetary even to defend.
Yeah. No matter how you bust it, that base is going down. And yeah, from here, players are just sort of posturing. Oreo is shoring up the rest of his tech. He's getting anabolic boosts for his eventual ultras, and he's getting neural parasite for his infestors. That's really one way of shutting down mech.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to shut down Thor heavy compositions as well. Of course, it all comes down to the angle, and pushing into a defensive position usually isn't the best move for that. Meanwhile, Corruptors, they catch the BCs. Sorry, get a kill there.
BCs are so annoying, man. They just keep teleporting in and out and in and out and in and out.
Hey, you'll tell me.
Yeah.
They never die, puppy. Aye. Now, we've reached that point where both players have now maxed out. Piglet is getting his 5th base up and running. This is a very crucial moment here. If he is able to get away with this 5th, that he will be able to sustain himself for quite a long time moving forward. Oreo doesn't want to let that happen, though.
Yeah, but the tanks have now sieged up. So many of these Bailings just get shut down before they really connect with anything. A couple of infestors do neural the Thors, but Oreo stayed in the meat grinder for a little too long. That was not a very efficient trade for Zerg, to say the least.
Some very good target firing there by Piglet. As Oreo moved in, Piglet target fired every single infestor with his tanks. As you were saying, we got 1 neural, maybe 2, and that is it. You cannot push into these defensive positions with infestors of all things. Oreo is trying to remax on ultras, and this could work, especially if Piglet overextends on creep.
Yeah, what are siege tanks going to do against ultras? Not a whole lot is the answer to that. Now, unsieged tanks can still do a lot against ultras, so can Thors in all fairness, but here comes an angle, Oreo coming in from every direction.
Yeah, but he needs a little bit more lings. The ultras are going to do what they can, but they will all go down in the end, and this is just too much damage. Oreo had one chance with the remax, but it wasn't the unit composition that he needed.
GG is called, and Piglet will be taking that series 3-2, qualifying for PAX Super South. Well played, well played.
GG, well played. It went all the way to the ace match here between our two players, and Oreo did honestly really well this entire series up until here in the ace match, where he did have to go up against Piglet's mech on Tropical Sacrifice, and we saw that there were quite a number of fights that yeah, just didn't go Oreo's way. And to be fair, it did feel like he was playing a little bit from behind as soon as he had lost his fourth, as a kill, if you recall.
Yeah, I remember that. Try to forget it, but always remember.
Oof.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, what another very close series you got from two of our players here, and not just a close series, a series where neither of them really stuck to the same composition or the same style every single game. You know, a lot of variants coming out for both of our players here, especially
Yeah,
Piglet.
I love that we had a very dynamic back and forth between our two players. Very varied when it comes to strategies and skill. It was beautiful to see, and personally, I can't wait to see more of it. I'm sure Oreo isn't fond of playing against Piglet, but these are two players who I think are a sure thing to qualify for the main event, for the offline PAX StarCraft event. And I'm sure they're going to face off there as well once they do. Like, I want to see them. I
In the
want to see them
finals.
in the semis. I want to see them in the finals. Yeah.
Oh no, I want to see them in the semis because I want our finals to be Oreo Starduck.
True.
But yeah, they'll
True.
face each other. They'll face each other there, and they'll face each other many, many more times throughout the rest of their careers.
Yeah, again, like, if Oreo is going to lose to anyone, I'm happy that it's Piglet of all players, because, again, there's a reason why for a long time he was considered to be the best player in all of ANZ, in all of Australia and New Zealand. There's a reason why he's a back-to-back ANZ champion. Piglet is a force to be reckoned with. Oreo took it to him, don't get me wrong, alas, wasn't able to defeat him in the end. Not here, not this morning, but Oreo has another chance.